see the questions in your eyes. I know what's, and though I make mistakes, I'll never break your heart. And I swear by the moon and the stars and the skies, I'll be there.
When was the first time you've realized that music is your destiny?
Ooh, I know for me, as soon as I could remember having dreams, um, they had everything to do with being on stage and singing and music. Um, one of my earliest memories is, you know, back in the day, you know, we didn't have child seats. What we had was our mother's arm that came across to hold us down. And I can remember being, I think I was about 2 years old in my mom's 1971 Buick Riviera with the 8-track and listening to Stevie Wonder's Isn't She Lovely on program 3. And then you would have to go after the song ended, if you wanted to hear it again, you'd have to go to program 2, listen for about 5 minutes, and then go back to program 3 to hear it again. And I know for me, like I said, music has always been my life from day one.
Awesome.
Yeah, same here. I've always wanted to be on stage since I started singing at a young age, like 5 or 6 years old in the gospel choirs. And it's the only thing I've ever wanted to do or only thing I've ever seen for myself to do. So, you just work at it and manifest it and it happens,
Okay. How is the creative process like?
It's always different. It just depends. It depends on, of course, the mood. It depends on, like when we're working on a new project of how we're starting. So I'm a producer. So a lot of times I like to sometimes I'll just do an empty track and maybe I might send it to Delious or maybe I'll write to it. And then sometimes, I've had ideas, for me at least, that just start in my head and I sing them out in my iPhone on the recorder and start fleshing them out. And then once I can get to, my studio, I'll start to build it from there.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much the same. Same idea of writing songs. I usually like to write 2 tracks. I don't actually compose the music on a piano or anything like that, but usually there's a track done that I can get something in right to.
Awesome. After 2 decades, you're still a group of 4. How do you handle arguments within the group?
Well, I already know what he's gonna say, so I should just say it before he does.
Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it.
They just realize that I'm always right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It'd be a lot easier place and we get a lot quicker things done if you just realize that I'm right. They never do, but they always come back to it and realize, oh yeah, he was right.
No, we always come back to it and say, thank God we didn't go with him. No, honestly, we're adults. And of course, not every day is going to be sunshine. We have our disagreements. I just think it comes down to, at the end of the day, just being about love for each other, love for what we've built, and love for what we're all still trying to do.
Mm-hmm. And this is in regards to music. And what about in private? Are you also like brothers, like all for one and one for all, or how is it like?
Yeah, absolutely. It used to be a little easier because we were all in the same area, but we've all kind of like dispersed away from each other now. But maybe just in the last maybe like 5 years or so. Well, I'm not sure when we moved to Arizona, but we're all across the country now, so we don't get to see each other except performing where we get together to tour and all that. But yeah, it's still just like the whole brotherhood thing after 28 years of being together.
Like my children, they know D as that's Uncle D, and when there are milestones, in their lives, you want to tell your family. And so, the guys and all of us, it's the same for all of us, for all of our children, and we're all family.
Great. Describe your favorite and least favorite part of being a musician.
I'll let you go, D.
I said favorite part has to be the stage. The stage is always gonna be the favorite part. Unfortunately, it's probably like the 10% of the whole business part. And my least favorite is the 90% of the other business part. that's
Okay.
that's not the stage. Singing on the stage and recording is the fun. Everything else, it's a business. So, you gotta treat it like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and for me, I would say that, I love being on stage, but I also love creating music. I love the process. And I also love to see the reaction that, my music may have on people, both positive and sad or whatever. And then I guess my least favorite part, honestly, is traveling, because I'm old now. I'm like, dude, sitting on these planes and your ears are popping and you're tired and you don't really get good sleep on a plane, especially like the red eye or the early morning flights. So, that part of it, when I was younger, it was like, yay, we're on planes and we're traveling. Now I just wish you could just teleport me and get me to wherever it is I need to be. And I'd be much happier.
Okay. Do you have any hobbies or interests also outside of music?
I'm sure.
Definitely.
Oh,
Go ahead, D.
Yeah. Outside of music, I'd like to do stuff that is entertainment wise. I have a talk show on YouTube called Flashback Tonight, which I love doing, and it interviews a bunch of our favorite celebrities from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. I'd like to find new talent who are musicians, and a singers night, and having singer showcases to find up and coming talent. Anything that's kind of entertainment related and fun, I like.
And for me, it's kind of the same. I don't do exactly what Delious does, but I have a production company called The Heavyweights. So I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of different artists as a songwriter, producer, and a lot of different companies that I'm working with these days. But I do love playing golf. I wish I had an opportunity to play more, and I love, watching movies. And I recently got a chance to take my kids roller skating, which brought like so many memories back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, man, I wish I could do this more often.
Yeah, got that hospital memory of broken bones back. It's like, oh, I'm back in the hospital again.
Nah, I'm good on skates. I was skating backwards. I was dancing on the skates. Like, hey, it all came right back.
It's like all roll bounce. You rolled and then bounced.
Yeah.
If you couldn't change anything about the music industry, what would it be?
For me, it would be the business side of the music industry, because there's just the music business, something that I like to tell artists, that younger artists, especially when I'm working with, it's the only business where you need no qualifications to be in it. You don't need a degree. You don't have to go to school. You literally can be an inmate in a maximum security prison on Monday. And on Friday, when you get out, you could be the head of a record label with major distribution and fun that's majorly funded. And then you can literally go take advantage of a whole lot of people. So to me, the worst part of the music business is it's a couple things. It's that part of it where there's a lot of bad people. And then secondly, I think also all of the perceptions that people have, the labels that people want to put on you, especially as an artist, that no, you're only able to do this or you're only able to do that. And people try to put you in a box and try to define who you are as a person and an artist. And I don't like that, because I know for me personally, but I know for all four of us, we are men of many talents. We have abilities to do lots of different things, not just to be put in whatever box makes other people more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I would change the one of the things outside of what Jamie just said is just the discrimination on talent. The discrimination on talent, because especially in the music industry, as of the last few decades, it's more of less talent, more image. if you look good, we can make you sound good. And that's all that we care about. And I just think from what we grew up with and the type of artists that we grew up with, in this way of thinking, we would never have a Luther Vandross. We would never have a Elton John. We would never have a David Bowie in today's society, because they don't fit the image of the standard of what people call beautiful enough to be a celebrity. And that just has to stop. So many talented people who don't get a chance.
Yep. We wouldn't have Prince either.
Prince, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. How do you identify yourselves with the music you make today?
Honestly, you know, what we try to do is try to identify ourselves as just great singers, but also what I had to learn when I write music now, especially when I'm writing it either for myself, you know, both Delious and I recently released some solo music, or even if I'm writing it for ALL-4-ONE, I had to basically learn how to understand that there has to be other people in the world that listen to music the way I do, and not try to write music for the charts or write music that sounds exactly like everything else that's going on today. Only because, you know, the record labels get so caught up in, I hate to say it this way, but being copycats, saying, oh, well, this is big, so you have to do what they're doing. And my thing is, you know, the creative people who we grew up with, the people that we love, they were trendsetters, but how can you set trends if you're only being encouraged to follow other people's trends? So I had to get to a point personally that I need to write music that makes me feel something inside, that has emotions attached to it. And then I just have to trust you know, in God, but also trust that there's other people in the world that listen to music the way I do.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree with him. I'm really much to add to that situation, but yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. So do you have any favorite songs at the moment?
Oh, at the moment? You know, I don't listen to radio as much as I used to listen to radio. I know. I'm trying to think of who.
I have a lot of favorite artists.
Bruno Mars.
You know, I know for me.
Turn the lights.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Bruno Mars. The Turn the Lights Off, or Turn Lights Down, Turn Lights Off. One of those. I'm loving that song because it's a throwback to the old school musicianship. Yeah, old school musicianship and singing, and I love it.
Yes, he's a great artist. That's true.
Yeah. And I know for me, like I'm like D, I actually don't really listen to radio much anymore. But what I do is I'll go to, like, you know, Apple Music and just go through every Friday, of course, is when new music is released. And I'll literally just go through and look at the different artists that are coming out, and you know, go through their music and see if I like it. And I found some amazing artists. You know, I've known Anderson .Paak for a long time, and I've always loved his stuff. So when I heard he and Bruno teamed up, and I'm a fan of Bruno's as well, but, you know, also some amazing independent artists like Emily King. I love PJ Morton, you know, a lot of the really musical stuff.
Okay. Do you have any favorite songs from the 90s?
Oh, yeah.
All of them, because the 90s was the last great decade of good music. Like, all of them. Like in the 90s on radio, at least here in the States, I think it's one of the most least segregated times of radio. So on a pop radio station, you can hear Nirvana, and then the very next song could be Brandy, and then the very next song could be Alanis Morissette, and then the very next song could be Silk, you know, all on the pop station, you know. But yeah, that 90s was just a great time. I mentioned earlier, I love Desiree's Gotta Be is one of the 90s favorites. Natalie and Bruglia, Torn was one of my favorites. just the whole decade was great. Mariah,
I think
Janet.
for me, I got a couple of go-to 90s records that I just immediately go to when I listen to my 90s stuff. SWV's
I was about to say SWV. I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah, SWV. You know it. That's one of my favorite songs ever, period. And then like Bobby Brown, Get Away from his second album, like that is my jam. And even things like CeCe Peniston's I'm in the Mood, or from the House Party soundtrack, House Party 2 actually soundtrack, Tony, 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 I Don't Know What You Came to Do. Like I just have a few, Here Comes the Hot Stepper by Annie Kamosi.
The whole Waiting to Exhale soundtrack.
Of course. And then I can't forget about like 90s hip hop. So, Big Papa, or I Get Around by Tupac,
And if you could live in any 90s home, what would it be?
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's house?
90s TV home.
90s TV home?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was joking, but that was right. I say Fresh Prince of Bel-Air house. let's go with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, honestly, I used to I always excuse me, I didn't get a chance to go to college, so out of high school, I was straight to ALL-4-ONE. But because of like movies, in the 80s school days, I really wanted to go to a historically Black college. And then when Different World came out, and of course that kind of shot into the 90s, I used to always watch that show from the standpoint of, man, I wish like I could be on that campus. It just looks so much fun. Mm-hmm. And recently they did a whole like reunion of the show, and when I watched it again, it just brought back so many memories. And I just remember even, like I said, in the early 90s, watching, just thinking to myself, man, if that were a real place, I wish I could be there.
Okay. And what is your ultimate favorite song from your albums?
Ooh, that's a hard one. If we're just talking about the songs if we're talking about like what I listen to, and maybe I'm biased because we've done some new music, and I just love, I've heard the old stuff for so much that the stuff I go to now is the new music. But on our 20 Plus album that we just released not too long ago, a few years back, there's a song called Life at All. And I had the pleasure of writing the record, but it's just one of those really emotional records. And it's like every time I listen to it, I think I'm just so proud because, having an opportunity to produce the song, to me, the most important thing about a song is making sure that when someone listens to it, that they can hear the emotion of the record. So if it's a sad song, you should feel some sadness. If it's a happy song, you should feel happy. If it's a love song, you should want to fall in love or go kiss the person that you do love. And this one's a sad song, and we don't do a lot of sad songs. We normally do very happy and love songs. But just the emotions of this song from the vocals, it's one of the things I'm really proud of and I love to listen to.
I think mine would be Someday from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, probably one of my favorites. Followed by maybe Love You Like That. And then on the Christmas record, we did When You Wish Upon a Star back in '95. I still like that record as well.
Nice. Okay, another question. How do you maintain your voices? Because you still sound so amazing. Your voices are just clear, and this, you have this 90s R&B sound to your voice still till this day. How do you maintain your voices?
Thank you.
Well, first, thank you.
Didn't feel that way getting back after the pandemic, though.
Oh my God.
That took some time to get back up there. Rusty.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Janet.
Yeah. I think what it is honestly, we were never like the hard partying band. Like to us, after a show, I mean, you might have caught us at a movie theater, or if we went to a bar, it was to shoot pool and play darts. But we were never big drinkers. And even now to this day, like, you know, we've been on this tour called I Love the 90's, and we're with a lot of hip hop artists, and they live their best life. And, you know, I think they even look at us a little weird because it's like, they'll be like, hey, let's go out. And we'll be like, no, we got to sing tomorrow. We're going out. But when we go out, it means we're going to sleep. We're going to be out like a light because we got to get our rest so that our voices can be, you know, what they need to be. And then also too, we're also very diligent about doing our warm-ups and just really trying to take care of our voice, because this is our instrument, you know. And if you have a guitar player who has a guitar from the 1950s that's priceless, they're going to put it in a good case. They're going to make sure the strings are always right. They're going to make sure it's always tuned up and polished up. Well, this is our guitars, our priceless guitars. So we're very diligent about, you know, making sure if it's cold, we wrap up, making sure that, you know, on show days, we try not to drink a lot of things that, you know, might cause phlegm or cold things. So we're just very, you know, very hell bent on taking care of our voices so that they can last us forever, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Any advice for new artists?
Any advice for new artists? Yeah, I have a piece of advice I always tell people who ask me about the industry. And my thing is just to make sure that that's just two parts. Make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, because you absolutely love to sing and you have to be on a stage. If you're doing it for any other reason, you want fame or you want money or you want it cool, the industry will eat you up and spit you out like crazy. And then for those that do get into the industry, my advice for them is to work on finding a signature hit, a classic song, one that attaches itself to the emotions of people, and to find that somewhere early in your career so that, you know, when things slow down, you'll still be working 20, 25 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the only thing I'll add to what Delious said, I tell artists the exact same thing he said. The only other thing I say is, remember, it's the music business. It's more than just the music. So take the time, really take the time to learn the business side of it, to try to understand contracts, to try to understand these negotiations, because there's no rewind button in life. You don't get a chance to go back and do it over. And if you can do your best to really educate yourself and to learn your not only your craft, but learn the business of your craft, that will serve you well in the future.
And then also, if you're blessed enough to have an international hit with one of your songs, whatever, go to these countries and work the markets and your press. Don't just stay in the United States, or don't stay in your own country or whatever, because you have to go to these countries and set up, you know, for your future. And a lot of people don't do that, and they try to do it after, if things die down, and it's a little too late at that point.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes maybe they are afraid, or some fears holding them back. What can you say about that?
Well, listen, you know what? There's lots of things in life to be afraid of, but what kind of life is it if you're always afraid of everything? You know what I'm saying? You got one shot to live the best life you can. And the thing is, just because you go somewhere and maybe they speak a different language than you, maybe they eat foods that are differently than you, but music is a universal language. It's something that everybody around the globe understands. And emotions, every person on this earth has emotions. Everyone they want to fall in love. Everyone wants to dance. Everybody wants to feel something. So my thing is, you have this opportunity, as Delious was saying, to basically set yourself up forever. One of the things we are so grateful for is our fan base around the world has been so kind to us, so good to us. But we've also discovered other things about ourselves that we love by going to other places, by seeing other cultures, by digesting other music and other opportunities. It's a blessing to be able to go somewhere outside of what you know. And you just gotta be you know, just be brave one time to step outside of yourself and go somewhere else, and you'll be blessed. Like you'll find that, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever, to be in this country and to see these people and experience this.
Okay. Thank you very, very much for your time and your advices. I really appreciate it. And it was fun listening to you and yeah, seeing you.
Well, we appreciate you for having us. Yes, thank you so much.